Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a delicious, decadent, gluten-free chocolate brownie, just how I think chocolate brownies should be, where they're rich and fudgy in the center and it's almost borderline cakey but almost borderline fudge. It's delicious. So let's get into the recipe. Again, as always, all of our ingredients will be in the description box below, so if you ever get stuck, pop down below. First off, we are gonna start melting our chocolate and butter together. So I'm just gonna pop my butter into the chocolate and then pop it in the microwave for roughly around 30 seconds. We wanna do these in short bursts so we don't burn the chocolate, and then we'll mix in between each stage. All right, we'll give this a nice wee stir. And also one thing to note is it's really important to have your oven preheating. So we want it preheating at 175 degrees Celsius whilst we're doing this, so that it's lovely and warm ready for our brownies. So this could probably do with another 30-second burst. So we'll just give this another go. Okay, so one thing I will mention is that I used milk chocolate and dark chocolate for this recipe. Now this just intensifies the flavor and just makes it not so bitter, because the dark chocolate being dark, it makes it quite bitter, and you don't want it bitter, you want it quite sweet. So the milk sort of helps that happen. It just makes it such a bitter flavor. Yes, so that is why I use two types of chocolate. All right, so we're nearly there. We'll just give that a nice wee stir. And then we're just going to pop this to the side and let this fully cool down before we use it. Just give it a nice good old mix through so all of that butter is mixed thoroughly through that chocolate. All right, that looks pretty good to me. So we'll pop that to the side and we'll come back to that very shortly. All right, so now that our chocolate is cooling down, we are going to make our brownie batter. So we have our brown sugar and our caster sugar that we're going to pop into our bowl. You don't have to use a KitchenAid for this. You can just use a normal bowl and a mixer. I just prefer to use the KitchenAid because my arm's quite weak. So when I whisk up the eggs, it just works better with the machine. So then we're gonna add 3 eggs. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear. All right, get out all that shell that you don't want in there. Oh dear. Right. And then we're adding another egg. We won't crack it on the table this time. All right, so now that all of our eggs and our sugar is in the mixing bowl, we're gonna attach our whisk attachment, and then we're gonna pop it on for roughly around 5 minutes. We want this mixture to be really pale, light and fluffy, all the sugar pretty much incorporated into the eggs. I'll show you what that looks like. Okie dokie, so now that that has been beating lovely, you can see the consistency and the texture. It's lovely and pale in color, which is exactly what we want. And sugar is near enough dissolved. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna bring back our cooled down chocolate and butter mixture. And we're gonna pour our lovely mixture into our bowl. Make sure we get it all in there, like so. And then we're gonna put it back on and just give it another little mix through on a slow speed. Okay, so now that that has all come together and again looks literally like liquid fudge, it looks bloody delicious, we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. So we've got our gluten-free flour that I'm just going to add in. Now you can use plain flour for this recipe. I just find that with the gluten-free flour, you get so much more moistness in, I know that's a horrible word, but so much more moistness in terms of the brownie. It's really rich and sticky and that's exactly how I like my brownies to be. So we've added in our gluten-free flour, we've added in our cocoa powder, and then last but not least, we've got our baking powder. And then basically, we just give this a really nice mix through until everything has come together, and then it's time to pop it into the tin. Okay, so that has all come together lovely and honestly looks delicious. All right, look at this, like that just looks like heaven. Super thick, super gooey and yummy, and exactly what we want in the mixture of a raw brownie. So we will just clear this up a little bit. Grab out our tin. So I am using a 12-inch, no, I'm using a 9-inch, I think. What is this? A 9-inch. I'm using a 9-inch square tin that I have lined fully with greaseproof paper, as well as attached bulldog clips to each corner or to each straight edge, just to stop the baking paper flapping in. Because we've got the oven set to fan bake, the baking paper will actually flap around, and you don't want that. So this helps stop that. So we will grab our lovely brownie batter. Just make sure that all of the flour up the sides is fully incorporated into the mixture and you've got nothing hanging out on the side. And then we're just going to pour it straight into our tin. All right, so that is all of the lovely brownie batter popped into our tin. I'm just going to grab a spatula, ignore the chocolatey hands, but I'm just going to push it to the sides as much as possible. Because it's quite a loose batter, it will kind of move that way anyway, but just in case. And then all that is left to do is pop it into the oven. Now we want to pop this in for roughly around 35 minutes until it is lovely and cooked and crackly on the top, but still gooey and yummy in the center. If you want a more cooked brownie, then just leave it in for longer. But my ultimate brownie is a 35-minute brownie. So let's pop it in and we'll see you in a bit. All right guys, our lovely brownie has come out of the oven. It is nearly cooled down. You can see the beautiful skin that's just formed on top of this brownie, and honestly, it's so good. But before I can tell you to cut it up and eat it, we have to do one special trick, and that is pop it in the fridge. We're gonna pop it in the fridge for at least 2 to 3 hours. Now we just wanna do this because we kind of want all of the flavors of the brownie and all the ingredients to properly come together and become friends, and just make this gorgeous fudgy brownie so that when we cut it, it's really easy to cut and it's lovely and sharp and beautiful. So anyway, we're gonna pop it in the fridge for roughly 3 hours, so we shall see you in a bit. All right guys, our lovely brownie is nice and chilled now and it is looking fabulous. But one thing that I wanted to add to it to make it extra spectacular is some gold dust. Now I have this one here by Vivid, and I also have this one here by Barco, and I'm gonna use the two together. So what we're gonna do is first, obviously you don't have to do this. If you wanted to do this, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to sprinkle all the gold glitter on top here. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. Just like this. Just to make it extra spectacular. All right, so now that we've added that one, I think you can never be too extra. So I'm also going to add in some of the other gold luster dust as well. So I've got a little trusty paintbrush here that I'm going to do that with. So I'm just going to dab that in like so. And then similar how you would if you were sort of painting with a toothbrush, I'm just going to splatter it all over just like this. Okay, so because I didn't think it was extra enough, I have now decided to use my paintbrush and my trusty little gold luster dust and actually sprinkle the gold luster dust on top, but then really gently with the paintbrush, just glide the paintbrush over the top so it almost looks like we've got gold foil on top of our brownie, which, I mean, I don't know about you, but this is one pretty special brownie. So I'm just going to carry on doing this over the whole entire brownie until it is all done. Okay, so now that we have glittered and goldened up our lovely brownie, and it doesn't look like any ordinary brownie, we can take off our little bulldog clips and we can remove our lovely brownie from the tin. So thankfully I have a loose bottomed tin, which I would highly recommend, that you can easily just take the bottom out just like that. And so I'm gonna slide them off, and because we used our trusty greaseproof paper, it just makes it really, really easy to obviously take it out of the tin. So let me show you this beautiful brownie that we've got here. So it's a really good thickness. It's absolutely bloody smashing. So let's cut into it. First of all, I have my trusty little gadget and a very sharp knife. You obviously don't need to use one of these. I just prefer to use these to get really even brownie sizes. I think this is some pastry tool. I don't know the name of it, so I'm not even gonna try and say it, but it just allows me to go, okay, how many slices do I want? How big of a slice of brownie do I want, etc. I normally get 5 slices down and 5 across, because obviously it's square. That means that the portion size is perfect, but obviously if you want a really chunky brownie that's half of a brownie, you go for it. I'm not gonna complain. Okay, so let's go with, I think let's do a slice of 5 brownies across. So I'm just gonna very, very gently roll this over the top of the brownies just to make some sort of indentation so I know where to cut. Then I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees and do the exact same thing. So we want it end to end, like so. And then we've got perfect little squares for us to have little yummy bits. So then we just use our really, really sharp knife, and because we've popped our brownie in the fridge, it should be really, really easy to cut and for us to get the really nice straight edges. So pull it out a little square here. Oh my goodness, look at that gooiness. It absolutely looks delicious. It's lovely and gooey, and it's really, really delicious looking. Like, look at all of those bits. And you've got a really nice, like, cakeish outer here, and then a really gooey center here. So it's perfect. I'm bloody excited to try this. So I'm gonna have a wee nibble. If you want a really fudgy brownie, this is it. It's so, so good. It's like the perfect balance of fudgy with a bit of cakey and a bit of crispy bottom. It's such a winner of a recipe. And the great thing is that you can add like salted caramel to it, you can add popcorn to it, you could add jam, all sorts of different flavors to make it your own. So honestly, guys, you've got to try this brownie recipe. It is absolutely delicious. Now, I'm not going to eat any more because I actually need to take this to a dinner party tonight, so I'm not going to eat any more. But before we go, I have a special guest that I would like to invite in for a taste testing session, because I know that he will really appreciate this particular brownie. So 2 seconds, we will be back shortly. All right, incoming, my special guest for today. He is our newest member of the NPD team, and he tests and eats nearly every recipe I make. So